Everything went right for the Spurs in the fourth quarter. This time around, LeBron James on the floor, and it was a much different story. So as a result, the Heat not only, Stephen A., get momentum, but now they have home court as they go back to Miami for games 3 and 4. What's your feeling now on the Spurs as they go to Miami, even in a game apiece?
Well, my feeling is simple, that in all likelihood they'll split in Miami. But if Miami somehow, some way is able to win both games in Miami, then the San Antonio Spurs are obviously on the brink of elimination, and this series will end at the latest in 6 games in Miami. That's just the take that you take from it. Obviously, that's being a bit presumptuous because we don't anticipate that will happen because the San Antonio Spurs are simply too good to let that happen. But at the same time, when you consider what transpired in Game 2, you can't ignore that possibility. Tim Duncan shot 2 of 8 over the last 3 quarters. LeBron James committed 4 turnovers in the first quarter, didn't commit a single turnover for the rest of the game, and the Miami Heat committed a grand total of 3 turnovers over the last 3 quarters. When you take all of those things into consideration, you're the San Antonio Spurs. You would have reason to be concerned because, again, Danny Green wasn't the player in the fourth quarter last night that he was in Game 1. LeBron James being on the floor had something to do with that. Manu Ginobili's numbers were there, similar to Game 1, but he wasn't the same player that he was in Game 1. So LeBron James' presence on the defensive end of the floor appears to have a profound impact on the San Antonio Spurs, not to mention the fact that the team wasn't able to go inside with the level of ease that they did in Game 1. Why? Because not only did you have Birdman up in there defending Tim Duncan, but we had a Udonis Haslem sighting. We were wondering where he was going to be. When Spoelstra decided to go big, that also was a factor. So you're looking at the Miami Heat throw a bevy of things in your direction where they can sort of just give you the impression that they can beat you any which way. Remember, they were in control for the first 3 quarters of Game 1. Last night, they poured it on when they needed to. With the exception of the explosion in the fourth quarter by the San Antonio Spurs in Game 1, some would say that Miami has looked better than the San Antonio Spurs in this series. But it's still 1-1, still a lot of basketball to be played, but clearly it's evenly matched for the most part, and it could end up being a very long series as we all anticipated, but that's only if San Antonio steals one of these games in Miami. They've got to win Game 3 or 4 in order for this to be the kind of series we anticipate.
Well, and here's what the Spurs face now as they go to Miami for games 3 and 4. They are the ones pedaling uphill, including the playoffs. San Antonio is 1-7 over their last 8 trips to American Airlines Arena. Those numbers since D. Wade, LeBron, and Chris Bosh came together to form the Big Three.